Welcome back to the program. With me now, Labor MP Kate Thwaites and Nationals MP Anne Webster. Thank you both very much for your time. First of all, to Anne, did the Prime Minister hit the mark today in his message to not just the Australian people, but Australian women, that he gets it now, the message?
Look, I believe he did. I had several people communicate with me. Staff were crying. People in my constituency were contacting me saying they couldn't help but cry, and they really appreciated his genuineness and his sincerity. So I think absolutely.
Yeah, well, he certainly and was emotional apparently in the coalition party room as well. He says he's been listening and processing. What do you say to that, Kate? Is it good to see some emotion from the Prime Minister?
Look, I think emotion is welcome, of course, but emotion's not enough, Kieran. And what we are not seeing from the Prime Minister is accountability and leadership. That includes leadership in the House, where he tells us what he knew, what his office knew about the allegations that Brittany Higgins has brought forward, very serious allegations. In the heart of our democracy, the Prime Minister is refusing to answer questions about who knew about that. Until we know more about that, until he's prepared to back up emotion with actions, I don't think we've got to the heart of this matter. And I think what I'm hearing really clearly from women across this country and in this building is rage. People are so angry, and maybe today the Prime Minister tried to get some of that, but he didn't get there. There is much more work to be done, and that work has to come from the top, and the top is the Prime Minister.
And just to pick up where Kate went there in terms of the Brittany Higgins matter, last night we saw in Four Corners, security guard, worked here for more than 10 years, and said that there was no security breach, that they followed protocol and so on. And then the Channel 10 report, Peter Van Onselen story, shocking material that he had there. People in the Australian community within your electorate, I'm sure, would just be pulling their hair out, thinking, what on earth is happening there?
Look, totally. I can't imagine anyone being ho-hum about all of this. I think people are deeply distressed that this kind of behaviour has taken place. With regard to the security guard, I think that there are processes that are being questioned now, and there will be changes to processes within Parliament House. I think that's very welcome across the board, bipartisan, welcome. With regard to the Channel 10 story last night, appalling is all you could say, and people are disgusted. I think what we need to remember, though, Kieran, is that Parliament House is merely a microcosm of Australian society. That's pretty distressing. I don't believe that this House has a great deal of difference between workplaces across Australia. That's distressing, but I think it's true, and it identifies that from this House, which does sit on a hill for a reason, that we need to set in place new behaviours and a new standard, and respect must rule the day.
Yep, absolutely. Something Malcolm Turnbull used to say, that not all violence starts with disrespect, but it's often the case, and that's why it's so crucial to teach that from the start with children. And when you look at the situation, PM's response today, Kate, he was trying to make the point in response to Andrew Clennell, my colleague, that others have got issues, the media, Labor and so on. Do you accept the point that he's making on that? Katie Gallagher had a crack at him during Senate estimates. What's your thinking on it? It's
not a what about someone else moment, Kieran. It's a what about our leadership in this place? And again, I say, what about the Prime Minister's leadership in this place? Anne's absolutely right. Harassment, terrible things do not just happen in this workplace. They happen across the country. And we had the Respect at Work report from the Sex Discrimination Commissioner that came out last year. Now, we've just heard in questioning in estimates that the Attorney-General has not spoken to his department about implementing any of those recommendations. That's a year. So I say again, this place, we should be leading in this area. Instead, we seem to be fostering a culture of impunity where terrible things happen to women. It's got to stop in this place, and it's got to stop around the country, and that's absolutely where the action needs to be.
Did you think it was a bit jarring, the Prime Minister saying, as Kate put it, the what about, others sort of deflection? He was very obviously authentic and, reacting with a great deal of emotion. But then he reacted quite angrily later when asked a question by my colleague, Andrew. Was that the right way to go about it?
Look, I think the Prime Minister is emotional for a very good reason, because he's emotional. Like, this is a deeply serious issue, and the fact that he has been so emotional today, I think I'm certainly prepared, and I think Australians are prepared to give him a little leeway here. This is a bipartisan issue. To politicise it is really unhelpful, and I think to say we are all responsible is the key to moving forward from where we're at.
Is it time for quotas within the coalition to lift the amount of female representation?
Look, there's no doubt that having more women in the House is making a difference to behaviours more broadly. I've certainly stated that, you get a football club room full of men and you throw in a good quantity of women, the behaviour does change. There's no question about that. I'm on record as saying I don't particularly go for quotas. I'm happy to have the discussion, but I don't actually think that will necessarily enforce change. I definitely support merit and I support equal opportunity. And I think, the Nationals in particular are setting in place actions to ensure that women feel they can step up to the role of pre-selection, are supported in the development of any political career or ambition that they might have. I think that's really important, but I don't think that quota per se, a numerical solution, is the answer.
You would disagree with that?
It's worked for us. If you look in the chamber, look on our side, look how many women there are, look across the other side, there are not many women. And, it is important that women are in this place. One of the things I really worry about, Kieran, in this entire debate is how many women around Australia must be thinking right now, well, that is not the place for me. Why would I put myself through that? It's important women are in this place. It's also important we are not responsible for fixing this place. We are going to be part of it. We're going to be helping, driving as much as we can. But we need the men in this place to step up, and we need the Prime Minister to step up, because that's where the change is going to come from.
Kate Thwaites, Anne Webster, appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks
for coming in and talk to you both soon. Let's